today's world, documentation is very necessary because in order to understand uh, what you are trying to express in a word to other developer, so you need documentation. So yes, so to write a really good documentation, you need to transform your concept into reality. And second step, you need to ask yourself uh, how to write and what to write. And third step, you need to really pick the perfect license for your project as well. So to give your documentation a sweet stuff. So I think licensing, you need to also know about licensing of your project. You need to mention it into your documentation because it is crucial, because you might not need it in the present, but the company or the people who are using your software might need the licensing stuff. So licensing is very crucial for you to make your documentation even more fruitful. So there are many alternatives also. There are like Gitbooks, and so, but Docz stands out from other because it is purely, it is very fast. It is Gatsby power. It supports TypeScript, so it is very perfect for your, very light and perfect for your documentation needs. So I think yes. Or if you want to know more about documentation by creating documentation via Docz, you can check out the Docz site /docs/introduction. Docz supports MDX, so you can pretty much add your React component inside it. You can make your playground, and you can try your components, what that specific component does. You can do pretty much everything. So so I'll show you from step-by-step guide of how to get started, and finally we'll deploy our project to Netlify or Vercel. We'll try both, or Netlify only. So let's get started from the very basic stuff. So first step, let's create one folder. Let's say Docz documentation, and inside the Docz documentation, let's create one let's open it in VS Code. Now next up, let's initialize our npm package. Let's initialize our npm. So for that, simply npm init and -y for agreeing everything. So or not, or I think step by step. Init. Use time forever. Package name, documentation, yeah. Enter. Version 1.1, enter. Description, documentation site, build using Docz. And entry point, index, index. Let's test them on. Let's give empty. Git repository. Let's leave empty for now. Keywords. Let's start top. All let's empty. Let's all let's Aviyel and license MIT. Let's say let's empty. Yes. So after that, you have successfully created your package.json file. Now let's rename it to documentation. That will be fine. Author Aviyel. We'll get back to this later on. We'll create our we'll add our own script for building our Docz, initializing, running our Docz. So there is one separate script for it. So I'll simply leave as it is for now. And now let's create one src folder. Folder src and create index.js for now. Import React from React. Let's import React from React. After that, let's create one component. Let's say color button, and we'll provide a color to it. Let's say let's pass some props. So let's pass color properties and some text and some I think text would be or color will be fine, and size and props will be fine. And let's make a button. Let's hit one button, I guess. After passing props, let's add some styles as well. And for style, let's what should be button. So for the style, you provide font size. It's a font size background. Font size of what is this? Font size equals to let's say if small it equals let's say size either 50 or 70. That's random. And background color of let's say primary color or give a secondary one here. So let's check on let's say a bootstrap bootstrap let Docz color success. So success means let's print, or else simply A second is gray. Yeah, so that's gray. So after that, we have successfully created our colored button component. And what is wrong? Why is it showing? Wait. So, so index colored button. I didn't pass dot. So yeah, finally it is done. Now let's create one MDX file name. Let's name it button.mdx. So inside that MDX file, let's. So what does this MDX file really made up of, or key features of this specific MDX file is? First, you need to provide name. Let's say alert button. After that, you provide the route for that button or for that documentation. Let's say an alert button documentation, and finally you provide the let's say components. So it's like a sub menu. I'll show you that, so you don't have to worry about that. So alert. So it's same like in JSX. It's same like in Markdown. So it's same as in Markdown, but you can import the entire React component inside it. So it's pretty much awesome. So same like in Markdown, you simply Docz is, and now, so you have successfully created your button MDX. Part of the package JSON. So inside scripts, so it's you simply write Docz dev for development, and you provide the actual script command. So Docz dev, and so let's say Docz build, and it will simply so let's provide some command called Docz build. So it will build the project. So why are we doing build is because we at final at very last we will deploy this project to Netlify, so we can actually see live everywhere, anywhere. So yeah, so at last let's serve Docz build and then Docz. So where to find this command if you are stuck? Then you can find your command into the documentation, and here you can get all the script command, or you can entire copy paste this. So yes, here and install G. So it is Docz, I guess, or capital, so it doesn't matter. Docz, yeah. So we'll save it as an development dependency. So you can see in the package here after it gets installed. So it will take some few moments. So let's. I won't do npm audit fix because it will take a lot more time. I think it is done. So you have dev dependency as a Docz as a dev dependency. So let's get started. It should work. You'll get redirected to the. Wait. 1, 2, 3. So let's head over to our website. So yeah, you have successfully created your documentation. You simply need to import the alert button from so this is button MDX, right? So it is inside the index, so we don't have to specify the index name. So I think it should work. So we have successfully imported this alert button component. So finally, and now let's implement this button. So let's start. So, alert. And one thing I forgot to mention, we forgot to export our component. So we need to export our component as well. So for that, you simply export it, and boom, you are done. So let's create one small alert here, like here. Small alert, which will simply, let's say, alert button alert button component. Let's give a color of we passed it as a props. So here you can see that this is the properties. So simply let's define the properties. So let's keep properties secondary. So what we did was we provided whether if it is primary, secondary, it's successful. For this, we gave a success. So now, and let's pass the size of small. Let's say, so because this is small alert, it's a small alert button. So inside small alert, let's give a small alert, and let's close this component button. So yeah, we have successfully created one small alert button. So I think it should be better to keep this like here. So yeah, so let's check it out. So yeah, we have created one button which is being imported from the. So you can see that you can import the component itself. So in the MDX file, so which is mind blowing. So you have imported the component, you gave the size of the component, you provided the color of the component. So I think here let's give a success lime green, green. So let's wait for the refresh. So yeah, lime green. I think yes, it is done. So let's add one. I think it is too big for the 10 will be fine, and 30 will be fine. 10 is really very small, so I think 10 will be fine for now. And let's give it as a 60 for big. So let's do a big alert as well. So for that, let's create big big alert big alert button here. Big alert button, and let's say big alert. So yeah, big alert, and let's import the alert button color success. Uh, and let's not give it a color. Let's provide a size of bars or something, whatever, because it is not defined, so it should uh, it should be 60. So I think it should work now. So let's say big alert button, big alert exclamation, and close the component, and let's check it. It should work, but it is not working. So why is it not working? Yeah, it is working. Are we still live? Yeah, we are live. So yeah, you can see this. We named our documentation alert button, and we provided a route for it, which is default route, and button component as a menu. So you can even search for it if you like. So Docz also provides search functionality, so it is awesome. So you can import the component, you can implement the imported component, but while importing the component, don't forget to export the component as well. So yeah, so I think this is the basic stuff that you can use uh, component inside and documentation. So yeah, let's create one playground. So where it is, let's import the playground. It's capital PlayGround playground from Docz. So yeah, we have successfully imported playground from the Docz itself, from the package Docz. So it is inside the Docz. You get it, right? So I don't have to sue. So yeah, let's create this button inside the PlayGround playground, and who's this play? Use this component. So finally you can see the, yeah, you can see it. You can see the button, the component, and you can also edit the component as well. So let's try this one out. So let's say large something small. So yeah, success or not success. Let's use this. So let's do that. So you can see this. You can create a playground. You can play with the code. You can embed this functionality inside your documentation, which is pretty cool, and which Docz only provides. Let's create one stateful component. So stateful component means within a playground itself, you can do lots of awesome stuff. So let's Control X and code this, and let's what happened to this. Okay, so let's paste this. So inside this playground, let's create one function. Inside that function, we provide two state called counter state. We give a counter state and set counter. So this is basic React example. So I'm using it. So you React use state 0. So let's initial value. Let's keep the initial value of this state to be 0, and let's return it. So let's return. Let's get one fragment. So inside the fragment, let's add a button. So button on click function. So while user presses this specific button, so we'll trigger the set counter state. So after, so inside, so let's change the counter value by incrementing the counter by 1. So let's and after that, let's add the button name. Let's close the and add the button name called increment, and after that we close the button and we display the value. So display the counter, copy, and we close the paragraph, wait, and save this. So I think it is rebuilding the development folder. So I've saved it. So why is it not working? Run Docz. Here you have successfully created your button. So the one good thing about this is that you can edit your code on the go, on the document itself. So let's give an initial value of 5 and increment it by 5, 10, 15, 20. And also you can increment the value by 15. Let's give the initial value 0. Increment. Here, it works. It works flawlessly. So I think you got the point about what we are trying to build. Finally, we will deploy this project to I think Netlify, because Netlify is easy. So for that, let's head over to Netlify. Let's sign in, log in, whatever, sign up or log in. After you have successfully signed up, so yeah, so after you have successfully signed up or logged in, go to the site section and just wait for it. And final step, this is the final step to deploy your application. So let's do it. Let's close this server, and you have the command Docz build. So npm run Docz build, and after that your entire thing will be, Docz will spit out entire thing into the dist folder, hopefully. It should work. it is working. Yeah, it worked. Ready to go. So for that, let's deploy it into the Netlify.